right, thanks everybody for joining another episode of Crypto After Dark, brought to you by Constant Collab. It's dark outside. It's time for another episode of Crypto After Dark. And if you're noticing, you're like, Brian, why do you got a big old bruiser on your head? Looking crazy. You probably saw my hand too. Had a little bit of a scuffle on my scooter on the way home yesterday. Kind of embarrassing, but we're just going to move on from that. So thank you all for joining another episode tonight. Thanks for everybody for subscribing, liking, and following our Telegram chat. Really appreciate the collaboration and the feedback that we get. And I've really enjoyed all of the content that we've been discussing over the last couple of weeks as well. Tonight, we're going to talk about just the charts in general. I think everybody sort of got scared out of the markets a little bit, or had a little bit of scare in the markets a little bit the past couple of weeks when we had a little drop, right? So I think the headline was Omicron causes market dip, whatever, right? So stocks rebound from worst days. This was last week, so they had the bad days last week, right? And it was across all of our marketplaces. And so tonight I just kind of wanted to go through some of the technical analysis and some of the things I look at when I'm trying to look at charts, just to see what's going on here. So this is Bitcoin, obviously, and we've been looking at this chart together for a while. Just to give you some historical context of why this gray bar is here. This gray bar it's basically a supply zone to me now. It used to be a demand zone from 2017. So supply and demand zones, where there's supply, you should buy, and where there's demand, you should sell. And so, from that perspective, this is a big zone that, we're expecting to be potentially re-breached or not, but at least see this area again during our next bear market. So what would constitute further supply and demand zones here, right? We've got good confluence here. This is at 41,000, right? So it might not be exactly 41,000, but bear with me here. Once we breach this channel, right, this now becomes a demand supply zone. This is a demand zone. So it's a great channel you can trade. And then we have another one up here that I've sort of pointed out that has a lot of just confluence in this area, right? And so to be told if this is going to create more supply and go up, or if it's a demand zone and we're going to go back down. But that's sort of how supply and demand zones work. And some folks like supply and demand zones. Some folks like, a diagonal trend line. So I have this one pulling in down here. It probably has a lot of good confluence with, some other areas on this chart, right? And I'm just messing around here, but you can sort of see what you can do here. Playing these zones, and these zones typically have a lot of confluence with each other, and help you sort of predict moves in the market, especially intermediary moves, right? We're all expecting a pump, but what's going to happen in between the pump, right? We're going to get these little dips that occur in between these supply and demand zones. So that's a good look at Bitcoin here. A lot of the charts we're going to look at the beginning are going to be very similar because they all behave like Bitcoin. The one thing I wanted to note here is that we are on a daily chart here. So we've been below this is a 14 and a 15 day, 14 and a 50 day moving average. Sorry. Some folks in crypto really like to see like the 8%. Get this moving average in here. So, or the 8 day, I'm sorry. So here's a 9 day. I've been seeing a lot of crypto folks using an 8 in a 21 or a 7 in a 21. I'm more of a 9 and 14 kind of guy. But either way, the 50 is very safe in all markets, right? And so you're thinking on the daily, like, wow, we breached the 50, we would breach the 14. That's kind of dangerous. But if you zoom out a little bit into this weekly chart, we didn't even get below the 14-day average. We're barely beneath the 9 right now. And the 50 is still down here at 44,000, which is above that demand zone that we were at before. So, if this is now demand down here from our previous little illustration, Could we see, you know, a wick move down here? Sure. Could we see this move play out? Absolutely. Could we see it keep going from here? Sure. But I think we're still comfortable, right? And this is the monthly chart. Again, there's, from a moving average perspective, we don't typically hit the 50 unless we're in a bear market. But, you know, here's what the 50 looks like down to 2015 on Bitcoin. And again, the last time we touched it was in March 2020. So will we touch it again? That's to be told. You know, looking at the last run, it's easy to see how we could keep this momentum here with this 9 and 14 average up here that are now sandwiching together. But time will tell, right? So let's move to Ethereum. And we're on the monthly chart here, so we'll just go ahead and work backwards. Again, I don't necessarily have any zones on this chart right now, but I think, you know, this one looks pretty good, right? Oh, that's not the tool I wanted. I wanted let's get a rectangle. Where are my shapes today? I'm just all over the place today. There it is. Thought I clicked that the first time. So if we touch these wicks here and we get these wicks here, you know, that looks like a fairly good zone to me from a supply and demand standpoint. Again, I don't typically use supply and demand all the time in crypto. I think it's a little bit easier to draw, you know, or just to play out scenarios like this, right? So we've got, you know, a symmetrical channel here. Looks pretty good. You know, this is what validates more room to the upside, right? Our channels like these, and the fact that we really didn't lose any of our averages on Ethereum either. So Ethereum's price action has been really good the last couple days. It looks like it's ready to go up some more, and we're sandwiching the 9, the 14, and the 50-day moving average here. So that to me is really healthy. When people are expecting things to go down, things typically tend to go up, and vice versa. So, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum held a lot of major levels to me. I think we saw a lot worse downturns in the summer, right? So this Omicron dip, to me, really just didn't have enough oomph for some of these pairs. As we move forward, though, I will point out that I think there are a lot of pairs that I am worried about, and we'll talk about those as we get there. So let's talk about Litecoin again. And I mess around with Litecoin a lot in my Forex account, so that's why I've got all this. I've got to clean this. Some people would see this chart and be like, "Clean that up, boy. Get that out of here." So just get some of these trend lines out of here to make things cleaner. But as you can see, Litecoin held on really well to that long-term support. I mean, it looks phenomenal. It looks very good. I think it could easily create another cup right here and just keep going up. So something to look out for is Litecoin. It also hasn't really breached its all-time highs yet. So that's something that I'm looking to see as well. You know, and these formations are typically pretty strong on the long term, right? So that's a good looking, you know, area of confluence there. You could even pull it down a little bit. And you can see that, you know, there's these are good trend lines to follow most of the time, right? And so, yeah, I think Litecoin is super healthy right now. After the dip, I think the dip was helpful. You know, it had a nice run up to this 290, 300 region from the middle of September. So it gained about 50% in 2 months, which is pretty good for Litecoin, especially without any, you know, big, huge days. What are these? 13 and 14% days. I mean, we've seen some pairs go a lot higher than that. Sorry, I just moved here. But Litecoin looks good too. And again, similar message. I'm going to be a broken record by the time we get to the end of this today. The weekly 14-day average not even abruptly challenged. So a little bit of a wick fish down there last week when it hit 180. But, you know, if it can maintain its momentum here, I think it'll keep going on. If not, we should probably expect something like this. right? I just wiggle over here into January. So that breaking this to me is sort of bear cycle area to me. If we make it down here, that's probably the start of the next bear cycle. So, moving on, let's talk about XRP. XRP is still holding this long-term trend very well. Consider some of this sort of wick fishing and faking out here, even though it's a weekly chart. If you move up to the monthly, not as bad. So it doesn't really close below on any monthlies, which is good. And this is a very promising channel, right? It's very symmetrical. It's very even. This is a great supply zone now. Well, it became a great supply zone. It obviously got breached for a little bit, but not too bad. I think a lot of long-term XRP holders have a average price somewhere in this region, like 25-30 cents. And so this one's looking good as well. Again, averages do not get breached here. Let's look at Solana for a minute. So Solana did really well. Again, averages didn't get nearly breached. The thing that concerns me about Solana is this is a monthly chart and it is at 96 RSI. So Solana is done to me for this cycle. It's not worth getting into. It's already had its movement. Sorry. It's already had some of its movement. So and anytime you have a monthly RSI that high, it's just really not good. I think if it were to continue in this cycle or just dip down to here, I think that's possible maybe. But when you really look at, this, it has potential to dip pretty far back down, in my opinion. So just something to be wary about with Solana. There's a couple other ones I'll move on to while I'm here that have the same vibe. Axie Infinity is one of them. So again, not a lot of historical data on this one, but what the hell is going on here? Again, this to me is not the most sustainable chart. I don't know how else to put it. It's just not sustainable to me. And, I feel like Axie has, puts itself at risk to drop. And even though it's been a popular game, absolutely, I want to start playing it too. Braulio was playing it today on one of our new lunch hour segments. So, but at the same time, 90% dips in crypto are really fair, and this level breakout here is like 12 or 13 bucks, and we're at 130 right now. It's primed for it, unfortunately. Not trying to scare anybody out of their investments, but just something I've noticed. Moving on to Avalanche. So Avalanche had that Deloitte/FEMA partnership announced. And, when I look at Avalanche, I'm kind of seeing like this trend line here. Lots of touching here on wicks and stuff. And then I'm seeing another one down here. Lots of touching here on wicks and stuff. So you can even move it up a little bit we want to touch as much as possible usually. So we touch there a little bit. And so yeah, Avalanche is up here at 120 right now. Could it come down to 25, 30 a share later on in 2022? Sure. Could it not? Sure. But I don't like monthly charts with high RSIs, and this one's at 83. I don't really hold on to RSI too much, especially in bullish periods, but I don't love it when we're lopsided on the RSI. So Avalanche, great asset, but Apple stock goes down too. So great assets can certainly go down. Cardano. So Cardano is very interesting. Cardano has had a really bad run. They had some bad news with eToro, etc., and has just not been able to do so hot in the marketplace right now. However, when you look at this channel, again, it's super healthy. I mean, this is a great place to buy Cardano if you want my opinion. Where's this historical data though? Where am I getting the worst charts? Yeah, so here's an older Cardano chart. Yeah, do I think you could buy it here? Maybe. I mean, it's holding the 50 on the weekly. So we're below the 14 and the 9, but we're below the 14 and the 9 on a lot of different pairs too. this looks, you know, fairly healthy to me, especially, wow, look at that. So you get it where it like sort of chopped above its all-time highs, and it's just sort of retesting it again. You know, that's pretty good. I think that's a good time to buy Cardano today, especially after you're dipping from 317 down to 160. It's 50% off. So will we see this bottom orange Cardano line again? I'm not sure, but this is its strongest sort of support down here at 57 cents for sure. And let's just for fun see where that 200-day moving average is on this one. Okay, so I'll change the length to 200 here. Ah, look where it just popped up. Right down here at 42 cents. So yeah, this area is safe for sure. 40 cents Cardano. So if you bought at 1 cent, you're good. If you bought up here, you might get some dollar cost averaging opportunities. All right, let's talk about Algo. Let's talk about Algo for a minute. Still hasn't breached all-time highs. I still like it to be bullish here for sure. Easy enough. Triangle. Sell beneath. Easy enough. 50's right on it. There's a lot of confluence usually to pay attention to, and this is just RSI. We could pull out MACDs, supply and demand zones, all kinds of stuff. This is, you know, good looking to me. It's obviously struggling to get out a little bit, but there's plenty of room left on the RSI. So as long as it has good bull run activity, I think it'll be okay. Let's just move down our list here tonight. Binance coin. What a beast. Will this ever get retested? I don't know. But it's certainly been a spectacular pair to watch. The weekly, monthly, and daily all seem to have a little bit of room left. So, you know, maybe Binance coin has another leg up and then retests, you know, 77 or so in the next bear market. So really cool to see if you're a BNB holder. We try not to talk about BNB too much in our group chats though. All right, CRO, again, weekly up here in the 90s. So it's definitely getting some relief here. Is there a monthly here? Ooh, it's a good looking candle. But yeah, the monthly is pretty high. I do think this will squeeze higher next month though. 85 is not quite high enough, and this just trajectory is just very good looking. So, you know, it's hard to predict where that could go next month. Maybe somewhere up there if it gets crazy enough. $27 would be insane. $20 would be insane for CRO. Would make me feel some type of way, to be honest with you. So yeah, we've been talking about CRO for a long time too, and you know, it's got great potential. I think we'll obviously retest some stuff in this bear market, so just something you can watch out for long term. Doge, haven't touched this chart in a while. Look at that, flagging nicely here. I think Doge will probably get some more hype again, just to distract people from some real projects. But in general, these holes will have to be filled one day in my head. Like, I don't think you go up without filling areas like this. Let's take a look at this fib retracement here from this area to here. So it has retraced its fib, so that's good. It doesn't look like it because of logarithmic price scales. Probably looks like it better if you take that off. Yeah, looks a lot better there. But the log price scale gives you a better idea of potential from percentage gains. So yeah, if you're holding Doge, I think it still has some room to go up for sure. All this very healthy too. Again, we're not really breaking any averages here in this Omicron dip. We've got plenty of room left. That's the 200, but we're still sort of hugging this 50 on Doge as well. EOS, I mean, this is just a massive cup. 60 cents to $15. I mean, this thing could fly to 80 or 100. No doubt. This is a massive cup. Really like the look of that. Gala Games, super high. So Not a lot of historical data on this one, but you know, there's a lot of room to fall here. And all of these play to earn charts kind of look similar. Like if we go to just Sandbox real quick. Where is Sand? Oh my gosh, just pull up the chart. So Sand has like more than one pump, but looks kind of similar from this level down here. All right, so that's something to look into from a retest perspective on Sandbox. What else do we want to look at here? Let's look at some exchange tokens. Nexo token, looking a bit bearish, to be honest with you. Wow. Yeah, this has got a double top sort of vibe to it, but it's pumping off of it, so who knows? This is sort of scary too, right? Just this whole, we want to hold this in this bear market, or we drop down here, it could get ugly. So we want to hold this 160 level for you Nexo token holders out there. Shiba, so good job to the constant collabers selling Shiba last month. It is starting to try to pump again, but again, if you bought up here, sold up here, and bought down here, you're doing really well, so that's good. VeChain, haven't looked at VeChain yet. So VeChain's in a really healthy cone as well, so that looks good. And then it's got this orange wedge line here that we're going to try to break out of, just to see what we can get. It's a VTHO holding the similar pattern, but doesn't falling behind. Usually it stays about 10% behind VeChain, so used to be one that I touted for gains, but it seems to be lagging behind a little bit from on the smart contract side. Wilder World, another metaverse here, so I kind of expect this to be retested one day, this 380 level. But a great looking chart right now. I think it'll keep going up for the time being. Great looking chart. XLM is the little sister for XRP, so to speak. And you know, that one looks good as well. Again, these dips are good buying opportunities. They're all holding good levels of confluence, staying within their moving averages, and showing good confluence there. So really like to see that. Zcash looks a lot like EOS. I kind of love these breakdown angles here because I think this orange line is likely to get met at some point. So that'll be cool to see if that happens. And then what else do we want to look at? Looked at Solana, SHIB. I think we looked at Mana for a second. Again, this is a little dangerous down here, right? So whether it's that diagonal pattern or this pattern here, hopefully it can hold this one for the bulls. That's what you want it to hold, but that's tough. That's a tough hold there. So we'll see what happens with Mana. And then Matic. I saw somebody on Twitter saying that they were worried about Matic even making a $5 call. And if you look at that, it's pretty high. I mean, this to me is kind of bullish too. Like, that's a big flag from May. So Matic's looking good too. Let's go to CoinMarketCap really quick, check some of that out. Oh, look at that. Cumstar trending 9%. Mars, Inu, MetaDoge, Silva token, CRO Moon. Chronos Chain. Diamond Cash, Chickenzilla, Might have to buy some chicken zillies. Only 1 billion of them? Oh no. Millions, billions, trillion, 1 quadrillion chicken zillas. Bunny Park, Crows. Can't even keep up with these. It's hilarious though. But yeah, anyway, this is all, cool to see. I think it's fun to go on CoinMarketCap and just check out some of the Buff Yoshi. Nice. But just like to check it out. Let's actually look at the top once again. So Bitcoin's still up top. XRP still at 7. Avalanche dropped but below Doge recently from 10 to 11. Shiba's still hanging on. CRO's losing a little bit as well, but that's to be expected. Chainlink still in the top 20. Stellar still in the top 25. VeChain's really lost a lot of spots as well. I expect VeChain to catch back up. Internet Computer is another chart I wanted to look at. I know some of us got in pretty high, or we're looking to get in pretty high, but Internet Computer seems to be curling down here. So if it can reappreciate, that's a good return. So that's another good one to look at here. And then let's talk for a minute. Probably talked about this on the lunch hour, but this is a big reason, in my opinion, why the market has been able to rebound in the way it has after such a bearish narrative, like a new virus variant, if you even consider that bearish anymore. But Sailor's MicroStrategy buys another 7,002 Bitcoins for 414 million. Both of those add up to 9, which I think is cool, keeping its promise to keep adding to crypto. So MicroStrategy holds like a couple billion, 7 billion worth of Bitcoin right now, and Michael Saylor is very adamant. He's very popular on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter. Certainly is very active in the space for his Bitcoin backing, and he certainly does believe it's the future. And then we can look at MicroStrategy set stock for fun. Some of them are trading, so you can, like, FTX has it on crypto, but you can just find stocks on there now, which is kind of cool. So here's MicroStrategy. Definitely dips with the Bitcoin price, but poised to keep going for sure. So, yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. Then we can prepare ourselves for a little bit of a bear market after that. So that's what I kind of wanted to talk to you all about tonight. It's just, I didn't want to get too technical with any certain indicators or strategies or things like that, but I certainly think that we just saw a little baby dip, and there's still some buying opportunities left in the market. So keep an eye out for those, and let us know in the Telegram chat what you're thinking. If you've got any other pairs that you'd like to see. I tried to go over some Metaverse, some play to earn. We saw like Solana and Avalanche are two of the early runners that seem to be sort of exhausting themselves on the chart, but overall I think there's a lot of room left to play for most of them, and we'll see what happens as we move into the new year. There's been talks about extended extended bull cycles. It's not always going to be 4 years even. We may have to be more patient as we go into the future, but keep looking, keep doing your own research. None of this is financial advice. Let us know what you're looking at. Let us know what you're capitalizing on, and follow us on Telegram to let us know. And thanks for watching another episode of Crypto After Dark, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.